Welcome back to Midday Q&A with Duckman Cycles and VW Garage. I'm your host, the Duckman. This is my midday video where I try to do a little bit of talkie-talkie and answer some of the questions that people have been asking about my projects. And, I thought that the Type 3 was something that people were going to stop asking about, in particular with the air cleaners that I had on there. And particularly talking about the cold air system that everybody is absolutely insisting that I have to have on that car, but it doesn't have one and it's not going to have one, and I really don't think I need to talk about it again. But we're going to mention that again in this video. We're also going to answer a couple other questions that people have been asking, and I'm also going to try to address the rear engine mount that's on there also, which stops the engine from flopping around and causing a lot of excess vibration inside the engine compartment. So anyways, you guys, don't forget, like, comment, subscribe, plug the Dinglebelly, join the Duckman Cycles Facebook group page, and don't forget, if you'd like to email me, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Once again, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Thanks a lot for watching, you guys. We'll be back as soon as the intro is finished running. Alright, we're back, and this here is my rear engine mount. This is what's supposed to go on underneath this mounting flange right here. There's actually a little stem that comes off of the fan shroud that stops that engine from bouncing around a whole lot and causing excessive vibration inside the car. And it's real simple. It's just a really hard rubber mount that slides over that pin that's sticking out, which is not much bigger than my thumb, and it bolts up to that flange. And once it's inside here, and it goes in real easy, just like this. And people called me out on the last video a couple times for it because they noticed that I put it in and I took it back out in the time-lapse video that I did a couple videos ago. And the reason why I did is because I couldn't get the preload right on it. But I did some reading in the instruction manual, and apparently the shims that are supposed to go between the mount and the flange that's here are supposed to be about 2 to 3 millimeters. Pulling this through, let's measure the thickness of the steel in here first. Helps if I zero it out. Zero. Bottom this thing out. Let's see what we got. Alright, it's about 2.5 millimeters thick. Let's see how deep it is down to the mount that's going in here. I'm having trouble here zeroing this thing and keeping it zeroed. And it fouled up again. Why does this keep going off? This thing has never been an issue before, but now it's going to be an asshole while I'm on camera. That's just Murphy's Law for you right there. Alright, try this again. Alright, I got 6.5 millimeters to the depth, so actually it's 4 millimeters distance between the flange and the mount. That means I need about a 1 to 2 millimeter spacer. That is kind of silly. That's not a whole lot, but that's what it calls for to keep it within Volkswagen spec. So I'm going to find really just a couple of washers is really all it's going to be, and slip them in there and then run the bolts through it, and we're going to call this sucker bolted on. And then we're going to take it for a test ride and see just how much that engine flexes up and down with that mounted in place. Okay, I've got a couple washers measuring these guys here. They're just under 2.5 millimeters thick. I needed something about 2 millimeters. That'll be just fine. So let's see, we had 6.5 minus 2.5 equals 4, minus 2.5 equals 1.5. So actually we're still a little out of spec by, let's say, roughly 0.5 millimeter. But I don't think 0.5 millimeter is going to kill anybody on this, and that's probably splitting hairs. So we're just going to go ahead and bolt this sucker in. Alright. Alright, two 14 millimeter bolts, we're going to snug those up. Rear engine mount is effectively in. One of the other questions I keep getting asked is, am I going to work on the oval again? And actually, I'm currently working on her right now. I've got one of the wheels taken apart on the opposite side, and I'm going to get to that a little bit more in the future. But I've been making headway on this car, but it's been a little bit at a time, and most of what I've been doing is like a little nut and a bolt at a time, and it's nothing that's really too interesting. It's nothing big enough to actually make a full video out of. But This week, I'm hoping to take the body off. I wanted to do it last week, but unfortunately it rained a whole lot and I got called into work in a bunch of weird and unusual times. So we'll see if this body's going to come off of this thing next week. I'm hoping so, maybe even as soon as tomorrow. Just got to get the thing unbolted, get it lifted off, and roll that chassis out. You see me do it a million times, but I'm going to use some of the nice time-lapse photography video equipment that I've got, and we should be able to make a really nice video out of it. Well, as I said, I've been working on lots of little things on Eleanor, and one of the things was these tapered screws that go in the discs that you guys harassed me a lot about not putting them in, even though you really don't need them. It's kind of the convenience factor, though, but they go in here and it screws the disc into the hub, and what this does is it keeps the disc on the hub, so that way when you put the wheel on, it doesn't want to wobble and make itself a pain in the ass. Whereas in this situation, it no longer is. And that's all there is to it, just like that. Didn't even have to put that on there, but because I figured I was going to be working with one hand, I took care of it just that way. But anyway, that disc is effectively now installed with tapered screws. And I got them at a hardware store. I think they were like 15 cents each or something. Whereas if I went and bought the Porsche ones, they were actually several dollars each. Yeah, so none of that. Forget it. No, 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 no. All right, let's put that wheel back on and get away from this. Alright, we got our action camera mounted down there. We've got our rear engine mount mounted also. This is the area that you're going to want to be watching when you're actually on this camera as we're driving down the road. And we're going to look for that little thing bouncing up and down and see how much of a difference that actually makes in there. I do notice that when it's in the car is actually significantly quieter. So it does amount to something. All kinds of leaves and debris in my trunk from when I was driving with it open the other day. Just proves that there's quite a draft in here. And the rear engine area does get quite a bit of cool air. Yeah, it gets quite a bit of cool air that comes up from underneath while moving. Alright, let's go ahead and get to some action here. First things first, let's hit the record button. Alright, here we go. Car always starts right up. Never have an issue starting this thing. I am having an issue keeping this camera mounted though. Alright, there we go. Now, while we're out here, one thing that I've been asked a couple times in a few different videos is how fast do I go over speed bumps? And the answer is, they usually do the speed limit over them because most of them were constructed so that you can. And unless you're driving a Jeep with bullshit suspension, you can actually cruise over them at about 20 miles an hour without a problem. And we're about to go over one right now, and I'm going to demonstrate. I'm going to slow down just a little bit because I'm actually at about 30 right now. Now the rear hatch might close, which is currently recording the engine. So watch, here we go, 20 miles an hour. No reason that. No reason you couldn't cruise over there at 20 miles an hour. Now they're not speed bumps like you know. They're actually speed humps. They have a flat surface on the top of them, and they might even be as wide as 6 feet across. So they have a real gentle slope going up and a real gentle slope going back down. We also do have some regular speed bumps here in town too. In fact, Pensacola has more speed bumps than any city I've ever been into. In fact, there used to be one right here where I'm at right now. I'm just noticing that when they repaved this, they didn't put it back. They probably took it away because nice maneuver. You're on the wrong side of the road, you idiot. Idiot. People park on the wrong side of the road here, and yeah, it's a ticketable offense, but it's unenforced. You park and you drive down the wrong side of the road with your high beams on while you're parking there. Yeah, you're breaking the law. All right. So anyway. I'm deliberately banging the gears hard. It does have a Stage 1 racing clutch in it. The engine's still a little cold too. That's That's why it skipped a beat just a moment ago. Turn around and go back the other way. Got a little rubber on second gear that time. Just a little bit of rubber. And we're going to get out and we're going to show you what these speed bumps look like here, or speed humps as they call them. And they've replaced most of them in this neighborhood with them. These guys had 6 feet, they're probably even bigger than that, probably 8 to 10 feet. Here's a speed bump. We're going to go ahead and get out here. I'm going to park on it just so you can see how actual big this thing is and how graceful of a bump it actually is. This here is a Pensacola speed table, or speed hump as they call them. And I said, you know, 6 feet long, 8 feet long, 10 feet long. It's longer than my car is. And you can tell they're quite flat. So if you're cruising over it at the speed limit, yeah, you're not actually going to have any big problems on these things. They're actually kind of soft, and yeah, you hit it real soft. Like I said, as long as you're not driving like a Jeep with the shitty suspension that they have, you don't bounce all over the place. There's our engine, still installed, didn't fall out. GoPro's still recording. All right, let's continue on our way. But that's the reason why it looks like I go over speed bumps so fast. They're not even really speed bumps. There's barely even an incline on either side of it. In fact, look at it this way. Yeah, you can see it comes up. It's not even half as tall as the curb is. They're probably not even a quarter. Yeah, so they're pretty graceful. You can cruise over them at speed limit and really not have any issues. All right. Back on our way. Let's do a little chirpy. I'm curious how much hop there would have been. This car does not have a cover bar or anything. It's actually got rear frame horns as earlier Type-3s did, just like a Beetle. 2 frame horns stick right out, the transmission sits in between them, and I see my lid slam shut. I don't know if that happened when I did the burnout or not, but maybe we didn't even see how much wheel hop there was because it got dark. Oops, stalled it. Let's go ahead and fix our that I get when I pull back in here. Oh yes, it's Eleanor. What a beautiful car she is. Makes me excited every time I look at her. Well, I think that about sums up that video, so I hope that answers some of the questions that people have been asking. So as always, like, comment, subscribe, plug the dingle bellies down you see next subscribe button. Make sure to check out Duckman Cycles VW Garage up on the Facebook group page, and if you'd like to email me, duckmancycles@duckshit.net. Thank you for watching, you guys. Really appreciate it. We'll see you next time.